What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about if you have not paid attention thus far in the time you've watched my channel, and that's found footage. And the reason I checked out this movie I want to talk about today is actually the sequel, or I guess the affiliated movie. I saw some people talking about it online, and I had someone mention the sequel to me, and I was like, well, it's affiliated in a way that I might not necessarily need to see the first film, but I wanted to watch the first film anyway to just kind of get an idea of what this director's style is and what exactly they were going for. And the sequel movie that I'm going to talk about eventually is Jeffrey's Hell, but this is the movie that the director made first, called Chest. And it felt to me very similar along the lines to something like the Blair Witch Project film crew going out to try to discover this legend among this small Tennessee community that obviously bad things are going to happen. And I like these kinds of movies. I'm a real sucker for found footage films that dive relatively heavily into lore and create really immersive environments. And so I was hoping that's what this would have to offer. And the film I'm going to be discussing with you today is Chest. Chest is directed by Aaron Irons. While filming a documentary series about Appalachian folklore and mythology, a crew of amateur filmmakers uncover the legend of a mysterious box hidden away deep in a wilderness area known as Jeffrey's Hell in the Appalachian Mountains of East Tennessee. As the mystery unfolds, they soon discover that some secrets are best locked away and forgotten. So I was really excited to watch this movie. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of this style and this type of film. And what I will say, it's not perfect. It's a film that has a lot of found footage tropes and things that we've seen before. But for someone like me who loves films like The Blair Witch Project or Lake Mungo, or movies that really build on lore about these very specific areas or places or mythos surrounding these like supernatural ideas, I enjoyed what the director was going for here. I think that they did a very nice job incorporating characters, that the relationship dynamics felt very real. I thought there were a lot of moments between the characters that had very palpable, visceral tension. But I think the thing I liked the most about this movie, even more than it was when it was trying to scare you, was the kind of like on the street interviews with the people in the community. There was something about the way that they approached telling this story that I thought worked incredibly well, and that there were so many moments of dialogue that I was completely immersed in trying to figure out what is going on with this situation, what exactly is happening, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it when I discuss the film with you today. So at the beginning of this movie, we are introduced to this documentary film crew. We see them kind of joking around and goofing off, and they're all about investigating these mysteries, and specifically in this area of Appalachia, and in the eastern Tennessee area is where they're doing these investigations. And the thing that they're planning on investigating is in this area known as Jeffrey's Hell. And in the 1980s, there was this group of people who went out exploring, and they said that they found this chest that was covered in like locks and all of these different things in this particular area. And they left, they tried to come back and find it, and they were never able to discover it. And so the plan from this documentary film crew is that they're going to go back to this cave area and try to find this chest to see what is going on with it. And there's obviously all of these different things that the members of the community discuss when it comes to this chest, and the supernatural lore and the different things surrounding it, that it's dangerous and people try to avoid that area. And so the entirety of the film is the documentary film crew going on this journey, interviewing people within the community and trying to figure out, does this chest even exist? Is it real? And is it something that they can pin down and find? So like I said, I really enjoyed this movie, despite the fact that I feel like there are definitely some found footage cliches. There's some things about it that I can be nitpicky with. But like for someone like me who enjoys and appreciates lore and like this type of story and this type of community, I think it's handled really well. The first thing I want to talk about is the environment and the atmosphere. I think the director does a really nice job capturing these places. I love they go to this like bar and interview these people. And there's this conversation with the bartender and people at the bar. And there was something about it to me that was just so naturalistic of like small town communities. I grew up in Ohio. I've been in Ohio my entire life, different parts of Ohio, but spent a lot of my time around the East Coast. I've gone to Tennessee. I've gone to these different places and kind of have a very distinct understanding of how these communities operate. And I feel like they did such a great job immersing you in this environment that felt very realistic to those experiences. And when they're telling these stories, it feels like a story that's been told told over and over and over again amidst members of this community. And I thought that it really just sort of brought to life exactly what the director was going for in immersing you in this particular lore when it comes to this chest in this particular area. It's a found footage movie, so it's handheld camera, but I think they did a really nice job. It's not super shaky cam. I feel like they were doing their own sort of web series, and I feel like it brings that to life in a way that it's not poorly put together. They obviously had a limited budget, but I think they do the best that they can with it. Like I said, performance-wise, I really liked the documentary crew. I liked the way they operated together. I feel like a lot of the relationship dynamics and the issues that come across and how tension builds, they do a really nice job with it. I feel like that was another thing that kept me really immersed and engaged, was the conversation between these characters, how they interact with one another, and I really liked that a lot. I also am glad that the movie did not rely completely on jump scares to get a scare out of you. It is a slow burn movie. They do take a really long time building up this environment, but I love things like that. I really enjoy when a director can just take you on a journey and really establish a world and build up these characters. Some of my issues with the movie: the beginning of the film, there's these police officers that are introduced, and I had a little bit of a hard time getting into it because I didn't feel like their performances or some of the people like outside of the group or in these members of the community were necessarily as strong, which I get when you're working with a limited budget. There's only so much that you can do in the casting department. But that was something that took me out of the movie a little bit. The third act kind of goes in a very cliche route in certain moments where it feels like if you watched a movie like this, it's hitting a lot of the familiar beats that you're used to in this type of a movie. But to be honest, I was relatively okay with it because of how much I liked the world building throughout the movie. I feel like there's so much going on that I could genuinely appreciate about the characters that they were writing and the world that they were building surrounding this story of the chest and Jeffrey's Hell and how it's impacted this particular community, that the little tropey things toward the end didn't necessarily bug me as much. And it's a found footage movie. There are definitely going to be things in it that you've seen before or that you are familiar with, but I think there's enough here that's interesting enough to draw you in and feel like something that is different in a way. And I'm really impressed that this director was able to pull this off in a way that I felt like worked really well. But like I said, I'm a sucker for these kind of movies and these kind of stories, and it really worked for me. But I think if any of this sounds interesting to you, that Chest is definitely worth checking out. So have you seen Chess? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I really enjoyed this movie. Although it's not perfect, I still really found it to be entertaining and enjoyable. And I definitely think it's a movie you should check out if you get the opportunity. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.